peeps, we are back. Happy Saturday nights. So I've been asked a couple times to do a story time, and so I decided to kind of dip my toe into story time. I really am not sure how to do this or I should talk about. So I've decided I'm going to pick something that is easy to talk about to start, and we'll see how this goes. So I'm just going to title this Storytime 1 and see what happens. So my first story that I'm going to tell in this story time is about me as a kid. So I was born in Montgomery, West Virginia, but my family actually lived in Deepwater, West Virginia, and they still do, which is about 5 miles away from Montgomery. It's a really small town. Deepwater has the population of about, the last time I checked, the population was on 360. But it's a real small place. And so I remember my grandparents had a gas stove, and my grandmother would always leave her lighter on the cabinet close to the stove. But all of us knew that, of course, we were not allowed to touch that lighter. That is a absolute heck no. You don't go near that daggone lighter, or that's going to be your butt. Those hind pots are going to be burning up if you touch, this lighter. So me and my two cousins, we are just kids, We decide that because my pawpaw, he used to roll his own cigarettes. And I mean, these were legitimate cigarettes, people roll other things, but no, these were legitimate cigarettes. He used to have his rolling papers and his can of, tobacco or whatever. And so we said we were going to roll our own cigarettes, and we were going to use grass and loose leaf paper. So we went and got our paper, and we went out to the yard and pulled up a bunch of grass, and we sat next to the truck with our rolled up pieces of, loose leaf college ruled paper, and we realized we didn't have a lighter. So how are we gonna, light these cigarettes that we created? So what we decided to do was we thought, well, on TV they rub sticks together. So here we are out in the yard, sitting next to my pawpaw's truck, trying to rub these sticks together to create a fire to smoke these paper cigarettes. And it wasn't working, and it was taking a long time. And my cousin says, I know. She says, I can just go get Mama's lighter. And we thought, that's a great idea. Let's do that. That was not a good idea. So what we decided to do was, after she ran and got the lighter, we moved. We moved from beside the truck to the side of the house, close to the chicken coops. And, buddy, we tried our best to smoke this grass in this loose leaf paper, but the paper kept blowing out. And we just gave it up. We got tired of it. It just wasn't fun anymore. But the problem was, we forgot to put the lighter back. So when my grandmother got ready to make dinner, she couldn't find the lighter. So she was all over the place looking for this lighter. Oh my God, where's this lighter? Who has moved it? Where could it possibly be? My cousin, God love her, she starts jumping up and down. I know, Grandma, I know. And she says, we had the lighter, we were outside trying to smoke grass. She gives the full details of everything that we tried to do. When we tried to rub the sticks together, it didn't work. I mean, I was just devastated, like, no. And I don't even have to tell you what happened next. Now listen, I don't know where you come from or how things were when you grew up, but I'm telling you this. When one of the adults looks at you and tells you that you need to go pick a switch, oh my God, that is the worst. Do you hear me? Our pawpaw lit us up. We have absolutely no business taking that lighter. What were you doing sitting next to the truck trying to start a fire? And then you were out in the side of the house with the lighter and paper. Oh my God. I mean, that was one of those butt whoopings that you never forget. Lord, I miss my pawpaw. I really do. I learned so many things from him, and I got quite a few spankings. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely got more spankings from my pawpaw than my dad. My dad spanked me one time, and it was so hard on him that I never got another spanking from him again, and I will never forget it. I think I was 5 years old, and I peed the bed, and he was not happy about it. And so he said, I'm going to have to give you a spanking this time. Like, this is just ridiculous. And so he tries to give me a spanking, which was the worst. He tried to actually spank me with his hand, and it was just ridiculous. And he starts crying in the middle of it. And I'm just standing there looking at him thinking, it didn't even hurt. You're not doing it right. You know? And he gives me this big hug and he's crying. He's like, oh my God, Daddy will never hit you again. Oh my God. I mean, he was devastated. And I said, wow, it's okay. You know, in the end, I ended up comforting him. And I thought, I wish he'd have this talk with my mama, because she never, my mom, listen, that woman knew how to give a whooping and she had no mercy, okay? She didn't care about whooping her baby girl. I'm just saying. Oh my gosh. So that was one of my childhood stories that I thought was pretty funny. And in my recent video of The Real Housewives of New Jersey, they had that medium come over, and I mentioned that I didn't want to tell you my Miss Cleo story. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about my Miss Cleo story. So I am a nightmare at relationships. And honey, listen, there will be a whole series of stories about my relationships. I have had a few boyfriends, okay? But I have had two that have been gut-wrenching lessons. And believe me, there will be a series of story times based on these two fellas. However, when I do, I'll change their names because I don't want any mess from either one of them. And I'm positive that they both watch my channel. So yeah, so there will definitely be more about them. So I was going through something with one of these gentlemen, and I just saw the commercial. You know, call me now.
Call me now. Call me now.
Call me now. Anyway, like Miss Cleo, she could help me figure this out. You know, let me just preface this by saying that I was extremely young. Okay, I'm gonna blame all of this on being young and absolutely stupid. Anyway, absolutely stupid, okay? Because I just want to say that in both of these relationships, my mom had told me immediately, the first time she laid eyes on both of these dudes, that they were not the one and that she did not like them. Both times. And I didn't listen because, of course, number one, the first relationship that I will be talking about, I absolutely thought, this woman is crazy. She's wrong about him. And the second one, I thought, this woman is crazy. Both times. I'm like, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about, but she does, okay? And I'm also thinking that maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. But anyway, so I call Miss Cleo. And I think, well, you know, I'm just going to talk to, you know, Cleo for a few minutes, just, you know, to ask her about him. You know, what's going on? What's happening? You know, are we going to be together? And so I call and they say, you're next up. Please hold. And I'm holding and holding and holding. And then the automated system comes back and it says, you are not being charged while you're on hold. Please continue to hold. Don't hang up or you'll lose your place in line. And I'm holding and holding and nothing. So I keep getting this message and I'm continue to hold and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm not getting charged and, you know, everything's going to be okay. No, ma'am. I ended up falling asleep waiting on hold. I was on hold for over an hour. When the next phone bill arrived, they charged me $367 $367. Let me tell you something. I called AT&T and went ballistic. I mean, I went through the roof. I said, first of all, I never talked to any person. I actually fell asleep while waiting on hold. When I finally woke up, it was still the hold thing that was playing. Are you kidding me? It says that they would not charge you while you're waiting on hold. Luckily, after I finished having a complete fit, they finally took it off my bill and said that they had been receiving all kinds of calls from people saying that the same thing had happened to them. And the crazy thing is if I had just shut up when the woman first tried to break into my rant, I could have saved all that. You know, got my blood pressure up. I said, Miss Cleo is a lie and a scam. And I knew she didn't really know.
Miss Cleo, I don't think you really know. Miss Cleo.
I mean, stuff like that is crazy. So, okay, now listen. There's this psychic that lives here in my town. Oh my God. And it was about 2 or 3 years ago. There was a situation going on with this other guy that you'll learn more about. And I had found out some disturbing information about this dude. And one of the people that I worked with, she said, well, there's this psychic lady that I go to. And I am not going to mention this psychic lady's name. Don't even bother. But anyway, I said, okay, you know, it's like $65 an hour or something like that. So I go to see this lady, and she says that you can turn on your iPhone recorder and you can record it so that you can play it back later for accuracy, you know, or so that you can verify some of the things that she told you. So she gives me this big spiel about the current guy that I was with at the time. He's not the one for me. And, you know, I already knew that. That's why I'm here talking to you. Goodness. Anyway, she tells me that this guy is just waiting around the corner for me. He's a nice guy around my age. He has a son who is 15, who is really in need of a mom figure in his life, and that this guy is a white collar guy who loves his mama. He takes her to church every Sunday, and he loves fancy socks. And I said, well, I go to church on Sunday too. Not every Sunday, but I go, you know. And there's a lot of men at the church with fancy socks. And she says, well, he's not going to be at your church. Somebody's going to ask you to visit their church, and he's going to be there. Honey, now listen. That was over 2-3 years ago. Where is this man with the fancy socks? Okay? No, ma'am. She's a lie. Okay, that was $65 that I should have never spent. So my thing is this. Unless the psychic medium is that woman from the Real Housewives of New Jersey, and don't go see them. They lie. I don't knock anybody's hustle. I really don't. But my advice is, if you are going to see a psychic, don't get mad when you waste your money. But my advice is, if you set up something to see a psychic or speak with a psychic, use it as strictly entertainment. Strictly entertainment, because majority of those people are absolute frauds. So now we've been talking for a little bit. I'm feeling a little more comfortable. So I am going to tell you a story about my son's father. So I am going to call him Eric. Okay, so Eric and I met in high school, and he was different from me. Eric was more street savvy, you know what I mean? He was worldly or street, you know, and I was very sheltered and, you know, the good girl, the quiet girl, the girl who makes sure that she is not in any trouble, because I just, you know, tried to make sure that I wasn't getting on my mom's nerves. So I met him in high school, and I just instantly fell in love with this guy. I just thought, oh my God, he's 6'4". He is chocolate from head to toe with these beautiful, pretty brown eyes. And and a smile that would just light up the sky. Do you understand me? And I was in it. He started talking to me in class, and I was a little standoffish because, number one, I had never had a serious boyfriend. I was a virgin, and I knew that he wasn't. I knew that there was nothing virginal about this dude, period. And I was kind of afraid of him, to be honest. But he just wore me down. You know what I mean? He would walk me to class every day. And it's so crazy because we had this teacher named Miss Jenkins. And Miss Jenkins would say every day, "What are you doing with that boy? No, that boy is not good for you. You shouldn't be hanging around with that boy." Like, she would warn me about him. And I remember the day he asked me to be his girlfriend, I was crazy excited. I'm like, oh my God, Eric just asked me to be his girlfriend. And I was over the moon excited about it. And as I'm walking to class, one of my best girlfriends, she says, did anybody tell you that Eric slept with Leslie yesterday? And I said, well, what? I mean, I was like, talk about somebody busting your bubble. I was devastated. I thought, no, nobody told me that. And she said, well, yes. So I didn't know what to do. So I went to Leslie and I said, did you sleep with Eric yesterday? And that is a really weird thing to ask somebody, but we're in high school, and high school kids don't give a damn. Excuse my French. And she looked at me and she rolled her eyes and she said, yes, I did. Okay. You know what I mean? What could I say after that? So then I see him and I'm confused. I said, Eric, did you have sex with Leslie just yesterday? And now today, all of a sudden, you're asking me to be your girlfriend? And he said, well, that was yesterday. I wasn't your boyfriend then. God. And I'm an idiot. I'm 15 years old. I am a complete idiot. I just walked off. I walked off. I didn't know what to do or say. I said, oh, okay, and just walked away. And then I was depressed for about 2 weeks. And throughout this 2 weeks, he continued to talk to me, continued to try to woo me back into his good graces. And I accepted it. I, decided to continue to be his girlfriend and continue dating him. And then one day he calls my house because, back in the day, honey, if you wanted to call a girl, you couldn't call her cell phone. You had to call the house and you had to get through the parents. Okay. Your mom and dad answer the phone. You know what I mean? So he calls my house and my mom answers the phone and he asked for somebody named Tiffany. And my mom said, you have the wrong number. And she hangs up. And she comes to my room. So I'm in my room working on homework, watching TV. And she says, I could have sworn that your boyfriend just called here and asked for a girl named Tiffany. And I said, that's ridiculous, Mom. He would never do that. And she said, yeah, I think he would do that. She said, I know his voice. He calls here every 20 minutes. And I said, no, he wouldn't do that. So here I am. I'm 15. I'm an idiot. I call him and I said, hey, Eric, did you just call my house and ask to speak to Tiffany? What a dummy. Oh my God. I can't believe I was so ridiculous and gullible and just dumb. Anyway, he says, oh, yeah. He said, I called. He was like, Tiffany's my cousin. Here I am, dumb and gullible, 15-year-old me. I said, oh, okay. Well, I'll talk to you later. And I hung up. And then I turned around and I looked my mom in the face and I said, Mom, it was just a mistake. break, he was actually calling for his cousin Tiffany. And she looks at me with all the love that she could muster. And she said, baby, please do not fall for this. Don't believe this. That boy is not right. He is not being honest with you or faithful to you. And Tiffany is not his cousin. And I remember being so angry with her because I just knew that she was wrong about him, that he is just this amazing guy and that he loves me and that we were just gonna be perfect. We were gonna live happily ever after. And listen, that's just the beginning. It really is. Me and the way my 15-year-old self-esteem was set up, I don't even want to think about it. I really don't. I've been through a lot in relationships, and remember I mentioned that he's my son's father, and a lot happened between when that 15-year-old girl met him and when I gave birth to my son. This guy, he's a piece of work. Let me just say, beware. And then maybe 2 boyfriends after him comes the man that took me out. And I look at relationships totally different after this dude. I think people may be underestimating emotional abuse. Let me tell you, deception, deceit, lies. And I'm going to tell you, when I go through my story times and I tell you my story, I am giving you my side of the story. And I'm going to honestly give it to you the way I remember it. But we also have to remember there's 3 sides to every story. His side, my side, and what really happened. And both of these gentlemen have made a huge impact on my life and my thoughts about relationships. And they have also helped me grow and learn what I will accept and what I won't. I will never be in another unhealthy relationship. As soon as I figure out that it's unhealthy, I'm out. Oh my gosh. So my funny story time went into my crazy relationship history. Whew. Let me tell you, it's a lot. Anyway, you guys, until next story time, bye.